there's a couple kids up in a very well-known college in California, in Northern California. You got to be smart, got to be really smart to get there. Exceptional. Coop passed away on June 9th of 2022. That was the beginning of finals for colleges. And the week afterwards, we heard there's these two girls, best friends, came from here, up in Northern Cal, going to school, studying for finals. One of them ran out of her Adderall, and she has a test the next day.
Oh, damn.
So she goes to her best friend, and she's like, hey, I've got one. Here, take one of mine. Your prescription comes in tomorrow. Well, and she didn't know that her best friend had got that from somebody else. The girl passes away from fentanyl.
Oh,
Damn.
Now, these aren't kids that party. These aren't kids that were trying to self-medicate.
Jesus.
oh my
They're
God.
taking an Adderall for
Yeah.
test
Yeah.
enhancement. I never thought I would be doing anything like this. It wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
No.
And all of a sudden, in 2022, life took a change and things have just been evolving. And doing podcasts, sponsoring other things of that sort, short film. It's crazy, you know, but there's a whole story behind all that stuff I'll share with you.
Yeah.
It's amazing why I'm sitting here today. So,
It's important.
yeah.
What you're doing is important.
Well, I want to clarify this. What our son is doing is important.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything, and we didn't create anything. He passed. His friends were at our house the following week to get together and just discuss how we're going to do a service and all this stuff. And his manager said, we need to create a foundation. We need to prevent other kids from doing this. And so that was on a Thursday. On Tuesday, foundation was up and running.
Oh.
And collectively, they came up with a decision to, what if we do a merch sale? And so we'll sell merchandise, and kids will buy it, and it'll fund the foundation. And the two things that Cooper created prior to his passing, and this is why I think it's important to know and know that it's not us. He reached out to on Discord and created a platform called Coop's Advice, and he wanted to be able to have a safe place for other kids like him to open up about their issues with mental health and addiction. And when you go on Discord, and I encourage you to go look on it.
Yeah.
It's like a chat forum whereby you have the screen name, or you can put your own name on it. I'm known now out everywhere in the world as Coop's dad.
Yeah.
And so, but you can be, XYZ 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
And so there's a degree of anonymity of you being able to talk about, like today, typical post would be, today really sucks. I feel like using again. Or I think I'm going to kill myself. Or my parents are fucking horrible and they treat me like this.
Jesus.
And my dad's abusive and blah, 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 blah. But then there's other kids jumping on and offering messages of love, hope, and support because it's their peers. And they feel it and they go through it. And what it taught us was that this is everywhere with everyone. So that platform, when Cooper started it, was about 30, 40 people. And he posted in Instagram right before, like an Instagram live right before he passed away, announcing it, inviting kids to join it. Today, it's about 215,000
Wow.
consistently on that platform 24/7 from all around the world.
Yeah.
So we get messages from, the places we don't get messages are deep in the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, for a few obvious reasons.
Right.
But there's times when we're on this, or when I'll do an Instagram live or some other platform, and I'll say, okay, so where's everybody from? You know, let me know where you're from, and the messages and the things that come
That's
through.
amazing.
You know, it's incredible that, and especially that it's still that many kids talking about their stuff. So that was the first thing. The second thing he did was he reached out to a nonprofit platform in LA called endoverdose.net. And those guys were doing online free certification and training for Narcan. And then you complete the course and you can get it for free. You get it in the mail. And so we said, look, we're going to continue to support that. And we're going to continue to support the server on Discord. And so my wife and I, a few weeks after that, went to go meet the founder of End Overdose. And he's a bigger guy than you. So I walk in, and there's this big dude, right?
Yeah.
Got the tight shirt, and I mean, he's ripped. And he's got all the tats coming down.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing here? We're like in the fucking ghetto. It's like, we're gonna die. So walk in, and this guy, Theo, is the nicest, sweetest, most gentle guy. We hear a story, tells us about how Coop reached out to him out of nowhere, and they chatted on DMs, and Coop said he wanted to create some apparel and sell it and give him the proceeds for this, because this is helpful.
Wow.
And Theo is a LA City firefighter and paramedic. His district, his area is like, I think it's MacArthur Park in
Hardest
downtown
hit.
LA.
Okay.
So he says, when you talk with him, when he's working, he'll do 15 runs a night,
Wow.
and maybe all but 1 or 2. Everything's fentanyl overdose
Wow.
and death, from 8, 9-year-old
chills.
kids to grandparents. So that's what he was, a recovering addict, and his girlfriend didn't make it. She passed away from her addiction. He changed his life, became a firefighter, became a paramedic, and decided to run this foundation. And they're setting up training and what do they call it? Chapters on most of the colleges throughout the United States.
Wow.
UCLA, UCI, back east, everywhere, training kids, starting a chapter so they can train other kids.
Wow.
So those are the 2 things that Coop started, and we wanted to continue. And since then, it has evolved to so many different things. I truly know, I feel and I know I'm being led by him. And the delay in coming here, at the time, it didn't resonate. I'm not saying there's anything negative, just didn't resonate. There were other things I needed to do. But when I got that text recently, it just hit like, okay, now it's the time to go do this podcast. And it's just bizarre how we feel led by him today. And there's been a bunch of really, inexplainable experiences that we've had with him, but doors open up
Yeah.
and good things happen as a result of that. Kids are being saved.
Yeah.
So, I'm just thankful to God I'm here, and I'm open to what Coop and God want me to do and how they want to use me.
Yeah. Well, this website, I was about to say, the podcast was started. Chad, do you want to let them know how the podcast started? I mean, it's
Yeah, sure. So our podcast was birthed from a year ago, 9/11/22. My 21-year-old daughter found her fiance dead from fentanyl. And it was a life-changing experience for us. And God had put it on my heart to start a podcast so I could be a voice for the people who have lost their voice, and to force change. I just can't sit around. I've worked in drug and alcohol treatment for 22 years. That's all I've ever done. I've owned facilities for 20 years. And
Have you been an addict yourself?
I'm in recovery myself. And I have never seen so much death in the last 4 years. It like 100-fold to the first 18 years that I worked in this industry. You know, we always used to think heroin was bad, right? And like Narcotics Anonymous and different 12-step meetings, they talk about, if you make it back. But now it's like not even a joke. Like it's not funny. 300 people plus. I mean, I'm just going by old CDC numbers, which I don't think are even close to accurate.
I don't think so either.
But I say it anyways. 300 people are dying every single day.
Every 11 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's shorter than that.
So do I.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that.
5 minutes.
Crazy.
This is, you're talking about COVID
Yeah.
and a COVID response.
Right.
This is far more insane than COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no response. There's zero response. I don't see any response.
There's some, but it
Not
doesn't.
by the government.
It doesn't go. It doesn't get noticed. I'll say this: my experience with the DEA, I think they're doing a very good job with what they're allowed to do, but they're hamstrung tremendously by politics,
Right.
and they won't speak about that on camera or officially, but their administrator, which is their director, she's got her heart in the right place. It's a tough battle, and they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's not just fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean, there's human trafficking. There's terrorism. There's a lot of things that are pouring through that border that just do not need to be coming through.
Yeah.
And it's in these other things are a matter of when.
Yeah. I think also the big thing is that people kind of disregard, because immediately it's kind of put out there like, oh, they overdosed, or it's like the addict or the alcoholic or whatnot. But it's like, no, it's actually a lot of kids are dying because it's poisoning.
It is poisoning.
They're getting poisoned because they think possibly they're taking, who knows, maybe they want to have recreation and go have like a party and dabble in, say,
some X or some
exactly,
Molly, whatever.
100%.
Can't even do that anymore.
No. And then they take something thinking that it's just, a feel-good drug like ecstasy. And then all of a sudden it is laced with fentanyl. And I think people have this,
Delusion.
where fentanyl is no joke. All you need is like a minuscule amount and it will kill you.
I mean, did you see how people reacted during COVID? And I'm not passing judgment on how individuals interpreted COVID and how because someone could have a compromising immune system.
course.
Okay, so I'm not going to go there with that. But people freaked out about being next to somebody, shaking hands.
Or no mask. Put your mask on, you fucking. What are you doing, man? You're killing me. Put your mask on.
Not having a mask on outside.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but this is worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
It is worse. It's an airplane going down every single day.
Yeah.
And if an airplane went down every single day, we would ground all flights immediately until we figured it out. There's many solutions to the problem.
Yeah, they're
It's pretty pathetic when I read online that that one of the cartels has banned the sales of fentanyl, and our government hasn't done anything.
I think it's bullshit. Personally, I think it's bullshit. I don't think the cartels banned anything.
It was a specific cartel.
Yeah, I think in all these lanes of different issues we have, I've just learned in my life, just follow the money. And it's all about profit on every level. And, are we always going to have a drug problem? Yes. My message to kids is, I'm not going to tell you, don't do drugs. I'm not going to say that, just say no. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It's always going to be there for one reason. And look, we can unpack this really down one more level that I'm sure you're very aware of, and that is it's all about mental health. It's the
Yes.
reason why you're
100%.
doing something.
Yes.
1,000%.
Why you're self-medicating, why you don't feel well.
Yes.
I mean, you go on Coop's Advice Discord and you'll see all these young kids and the various different reasons why they're struggling. So, but it's that's a whole other world. I think it's going to be another generation before we can change how we're viewing mental health and the stigma and like what's wrong with you and it's negative and I can't talk about it and all that stuff. But the the issue with fentanyl has changed everything. And when this happened to us, I mean, we really didn't know anything about this. And I thought we were pretty kind of, hip and in the know parents. I've always been very close to our kids or friends. We don't party with our kids, but our kids thought we were cool. They're friends. They would hang out at our house. We treated them with respect and we treated them like adults. But I've learned that no matter what the relationship is that you have, how good, I know you've got kids, things of that sort, they're going to tell you at the best, maybe 99%. And they're not going to tell you that 1% of something that they feel that they might disappoint you or they'll be shameful, but they'll tell somebody else.
Yeah.
That's where the Discord has been very helpful because they open up there and other kids have opened up to us. And we've been able to talk to some other parents about like, hey, this is what's going on. But they don't know, most of these kids, and adults, let's just call it, most of the people in our country don't understand really what is going on with this illicit fentanyl, where it is, how pervasive it is, how deadly it is. And, and it's really, you're just going to die.
Yeah. And I want
You're not going to overdose and
No, you're going to die.
You're just gonna die.
say, I feel like we're at a point where you have to be living under a rock if you don't know how bad illicit fentanyl is. It's all over the news. It's all over everywhere.
It is, but I'm telling you, man, I'm with parents all the time, and they're just they're shocked because there's a lot of denial.
Well,
not my kid.
That's what I was gonna say. It's more of a denial thing for them. They've heard about it. They've heard about fentanyl. Oh, my kids would never do that, though. It doesn't matter how good of a parent you are or how bad of a parent you are. Man, I've seen kids with horrible parents do amazing in life, and then the helicopter parents' kids unfortunately have died from fentanyl, and vice versa.
Yeah,
vice versa.
It's all walks. It's completely. There's no discrimination.
None.
Zero.
Man, it was shocking to us to go through this event, and I'm thankful from the standpoint of most people that lose a loved one, lay them to rest, and then they just have to move forward with their life. I'm thankful that Cooper left us with things to do and continues to have things for us to do. And does it take away the horrible pain? No, but it does help make some days better than others.
Yeah.
It's a process. I think that if I didn't have things to do, I actually don't know where I would be today. I can just tell you, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
I went through that. I wouldn't be here. So we looked at what we were doing from day one. I've always tried to be very detailed and very simplified so that we all know what we're doing, like in business and communicating. And when I sat down with Coop's friends and our family, I said, let's just make this goal very simple. If we can affect change with one life, it's a success. God willing that we might be able to affect 2 lives. So let's just look at it one person at a time. And we've succeeded that, but there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
The ripple effect of the one person that you help change their life is huge. Like that's the part that a lot of times we forget to look at, and I've looked at that deeply in the field that I'm in, because if I help to change one person's life, every single person that they come in contact with for the rest of their lives, you've made a change.
Yeah.
And that becomes so big. So when you put 2 together, and then God willing 3, and probably hundreds and thousands at the level you're at, it becomes millions.
I'm thankful for this. I am not aware to this moment that we've lost anybody that we've been involved with. Statistics say it probably should happen, but for those that have reached out, as far as I know, they're still around. And so my wife and I, we stay open to communicating with these kids and people that reach out to us. I mean, it's overwhelming. There's a lot. You can't get to everyone, but you do what you can. And we do a lot of little things to know that they're seen.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wake up in the morning or through the day. I'll look through my Instagram or
Sure.
my TikTok, and I've got tributes that have been posted to our son, and we get tagged, or they send us a DM saying, "Hey, look, here's a tribute. Like you can add to your story."
Yeah.
So we repost them. You know, just repost them to show that
Yeah.
we've seen it, and Coop's dad's reposted it, or you know,
Cool.
Coop's mom has done that.
Yeah.
And I think for the fact that they are seen and heard,
Yeah.
gives them some hope.
It does.
And then we try to communicate back as much as we can. We get some really tough messages from kids. And there's also, you know, kids that want to kind of like hang on, which
Sure.
is like, you got to have to massage the fan thing versus
Sure.
the real need thing. But it all feels right. And again, when this happened, I look back, and I was kind of just made to look back recently. I had no clue what was going on in the world about to the degree of fentanyl. I didn't know about, you know, opioids. I didn't know about antidepressants. I didn't know about alcohol, meaning like I became a student of like how bad all this shit is, and really like what's really bad, like antidepressants, the benzos and alcohol, like trying to get
Horrible.
off that.
Yeah.
You can die.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yes, you can
Have to-
physically
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Have to have a medical detox.
Yes,
That's what.
and my world of parents, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
They think like, you know, the benzos, like we did, were, you know, the anxiety drugs. You know, if you struggle flying, you know, take a Xanax.
Right.
You know, or you get anxiety for whatever,
Yeah.
take a Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a Valium.
You know, it's kind of it's kind of like a
No,
it's
I
kind
know.
of like a ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You take an Advil versus, well, maybe you want a Tylenol instead.
Right?
Which is like today, I would never
Never.
have anybody take,
No.
just even do whatever you can to not do this stuff. I saw a good friend of mine, and this was about 2 years before, had to get a disc fuse in his neck. And this is a guy who's like very successful in business, very straight, you know, a little younger than me, but pretty straight-laced guy, got his life in control. And,
Jesus.
you know, his vices, like he might have an extra vodka on the weekend, but never out of control. So they go in through your neck
Yeah.
here to fuse in the back. And then they gave him, you know, like 50, 60, you know, I don't know if there are perks or whatever.
After
Probably
7 days, your body is chemically addicted to that stuff. 7 days, chemically addicted. No matter what, you need a medical detox. Forget the physical or mental stuff.
So he calls me and another neighbor, a buddy of mine, over, and he goes, "Hey man," I go, "Dude, you don't look good." He's like kind of chalky and he's
Yeah.
sweating. And he goes, "I think I'm getting addicted to this stuff. The pain's unbelievable, but I'm feeling," and I go, "Oh my God, he's getting fucking addicted."
Yeah.
So he got to give me the stuff. We call his doctor. It's like, why are you prescribing like 30? Why aren't you giving him like 3 or 5 and checking in on him like every day? And so he avoided this, but it scared the crap out of him. I saw him physically and couldn't believe what this person was going through. I had the ultimate respect, you know, for, and to see like this guy has got his act together and control, and
Yeah.
and he was like,
Same thing happened to my brother.
Struggling.
His wife had to throw the stuff away. He got a little injury, was on some heavy meds, and his wife had to throw the stuff away.
Yeah, opioids are actually, and I'm going to quote Dr. I forget his name over. He used to run the detox, and he had a really good pain management program, because like people get prescribed opioids for pain management,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
What's the worst drug you can give somebody for pain management? Because opioids are actually meant for acute pain,
yeah,
not chronic pain.
no, you can get something that's like the equivalent
For
of like
sure.
8 Advil,
Yeah.
something of that sort.
Yeah. And that will be much better, because what ends up happening, the same thing with the benzos. You were talking about the benzos, but I'll finish with the opiates, is your brain causes, so let's just say he had the surgery. My wife had the same, she had actually disc replacement surgery. They went in through her neck, 3 days of opiates, and then that was it. then we're on to we're on to ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But the point is that the opiates eventually, over long term, they cause what's called brain pain, and it's real pain, but it starts here. So the pain's not really here. You feel it here, but it starts here. So the pain's not really there, and we get that all the time with people
wanting the drug.
with pain management clients that come
crazy,
in
man.
and they need to detox their opioids. After about 2 weeks off their opioids, they're like, "Oh my God, I don't have back pain anymore. I don't have back pain anymore."
Yeah, that's evil, isn't it?
Yeah, it's evil. And then the same thing with the benzodiazepines. They prescribe them for anxiety. But when you start taking benzodiazepines, the biggest side effect of benzodiazepines is anxiety. So you need another pill because you're getting more. Your anxiety is worse than it was before you ever started taking the benzos in between doses.
Or they got to give you meds to go to the bathroom.
Go to-
Get
or go to sleep.
constipated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's never ending.
It's
is.
not.
It's never bloody ending. It's
But
not
that's-
one
Way to
thing
go.
after another.
But that's the issue too, is that it starts with medical. So you have a bunch of doctors just handing these out like candy, which I think is completely wrong.
Yeah.
I remember when I lived back here and I was going to my AA meetings in Newport Beach. A lot of like older women that had their life together. From the outside, you would think like they have it all like going on in the sense of married, kids, house, life, and all of a sudden, same kind of situation. They would either have to go in for a surgery or they just weren't feeling that great. So then all of a sudden, they end up getting prescribed these medications, and then all of a sudden, now they're addicted and now they're in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. It's like wild.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what you're saying is like all of a sudden now your pain is you take it for a little whatever 5-7 days, and then now your one pill is not enough, and so then you start taking more pills to try to decrease whatever pain you're going through, and then all of a sudden you're taking an excessive amount, and then you become addicted, and then to get off of it is nightmare.
Well, then you can't fulfill your prescriptions.
Yeah.
Right.
So then what do?
You go to the streets.
You go to
and
the street.
and then you get fentanyl.
Yeah,
and then
because you can't have
and
three
then-
doctors anymore. Those days are over.
Oh yeah.
They've stopped that.
They did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get flagged at the pharmacies
It's
because
crazy.
they have a univeral pharmacy.
Yeah.
You have a database.
Database.
Yeah. But it does boil down to the mental health. You're right. And you know what? We're sponsored by the Infinity Group, and they run and operate two mental health places.
Two mental health.
Two
primary
mental health,
places.
primary mental health, which is the very few and far between. So drug addiction is not a requirement.
No, I wouldn't think it would be. I
Yeah.
think mental health is still
Yeah,
a layer below.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's
Well-
the core layer.
I
Yeah,
do
well,
too.
if you,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody, even if you come to one of our substance use disorder programs, we get you detoxed, and then we start working on the issues that cause your need
the
to
why.
substance.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's I mean, I'm an addict myself. It started with the addiction or the pills or the alcohol. It was just it was actually a solution, temporary solution,
Yeah.
until it became an addiction.
Yes, it's you're
Right.
self-medicating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, and again, I have a very rudimentary layman's understanding of all this, because it's a matter of we got thrown into the water, and we had to survive through this.
Yeah.
I've learned that kids do one of two things. They self-medicate because they don't want to feel the way they're
Right.
feeling. So
Yep.
I'm going to take this because I'm going to feel different. They get an experience of feeling different. Either they like it or don't like it, but they find something that they like.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, I don't have to feel this way.
Yeah.
But if they're really struggling and they don't want to feel it at all, then that's suicide.
Yeah.
So it's either self-medication to suicide. And it's pretty black and white. And when I've talked to parents to help them understand that, hey, look, your kids are all going through this.
Yeah.
We all go through this.
Yeah.
We don't go through life completely physically healthy from birth to death.
Right.
We're going to have something,
Of course.
an illness, or we're going to get hurt. We're going to have an injury. Mentally, we're the same way.
Yeah.
But for some reason in this country,
We don't talk about it.
and it's a stigma, like you're weak,
Yeah.
or you're, like you're a pussy,
Yeah,
or you're not a
totally.
man, or you're weak, or what's wrong with you?
Totally.
Like that's mostly what I've heard from kids. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's what I hear from people.
I mean, that was my biggest thing, is like why I never wanted to say that I was in recovery or had addiction or alcoholism, because I'm Mexican Italian, so it's like very much raised, and my parents are very, very old school, and I love them to death. They're my heroes. But I had this like false narrative in my head, in the sense of like, I'm strong, I'm not weak. I saw it as a sign of weakness, instead of, being okay with me seeking what I needed to seek and get help for my problem. And then finally, I was able to push that out, and now joining these guys as one of the hosts, and being able to use my platform and to break that stigma, because people are dying every single day.
But look, there's a disconnect. If you had broken your arm in 3 places,
Of course.
you'd go see a doctor,
Definitely.
and then you'd probably go see a specialist. And would anybody complain or criticize or ridicule you?
No, it's because
No.
you can't see it. That's the problem.
But if it's mental or emotional, you're putting this other like horrible basket of like what's wrong with you, and it shouldn't be that way. This is what I think kids learn. Like our son went through this at a young age. That everybody goes through something.
Awkward.
course.
Yeah, everyone's awkward, bro.
Yeah.
They gotta have
Everybody.
something.
You get your heart broken. You get
At
in a
any age.
relationship.
At any age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's life is hard.
Yes.
So it's like you're going through the trials and tribulations of life, where it's like I mentioned this yesterday. We have this false and I don't know if it's because TVs or movies are thinking that like we're gonna be happy and sunshine
this.
and rainbows.
It's this. It's the
Sure. Comparison.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 2 second attention.
Yeah, it's
span.
like this. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
I want to be just like her.
And you're looking at everyone's highlight
I
reel.
know, but the people don't even look like that.
No.
That's
I
true.
know.
I
We're thinking about the same person. Let's not say anything, but we're thinking about the.
I was thinking about my date that I had like 8 years
really?
ago. Yeah,
Okay,
I was
all right.
telling Emily and
Shoot.
Natalie about it.
Yeah.
I went out on a date, and the girl looked really.
I mean, like on her profile pic.
Yeah.
And then when she walks in, you're going, what?
Well, no, I walked in, and she was already there, and I actually went to turn around to leave,
Oh,
and she
God.
saw me,
Jesus.
and I didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
Oh, my
Yeah.
Lord, have mercy.
How about that? for a
Lord,
date?
have mercy.
My
That is-
wife's got one of her best friends was on like Hinge or one of those.
Yeah.
apps.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting there one day at the dinner table looking at it, and she's going, "Don't swipe like whether left or one of them.
Oh yeah.
Like one of them means you accept it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
She goes, you can swipe
Right.
the other
Swipe
side.
right.
So
Swipe
I'm
right.
swiping. I'm going, look at these guys. Like, first of all, there's a guy that's like, the first picture, it's like he's in his business suit, looks good.
Next picture.
Next picture, he's
shirt's
got
off.
like the tank top with like
The next picture's
like
in his
like
underwear.
with the tooth missing. Going, what is this?
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Is that how it is, Emily?
That's good stuff. That is
Oh, man.
funny. That is funny.
Yeah, but that's this is like our boy. He went through a lot of the things that I went through growing up. Was it middle school, lower school, which is like before you get to 7th grade.
Yeah, elementary.
Yeah, he was short like me, and I'm Hispanic. My wife's not. He's half Hispanic, so he gets ridiculed for being short, and like, hey, you little fucking Mexican. This is in a private Catholic school in Laguna Beach.
Wow.
Which I'm thinking, I'm completely blown away that racial prejudice still exists to that degree. And maybe because of where I grew up and where I've come from, I've kind of felt that I've overcome a lot of that, and with more success, there's a little bit more acceptance and education and things of that sort. I'll just tell you, watching what's happening today here about Israel and what's going on, it just shows me how much
Hatred is out there.
and prejudice is still there, and bigotry is still there. But my son went through this, and it really affected him. And we didn't know until later on when he started smoking weed why he was smoking weed. And he would say, and we'd see this, and I'm like, I'm shocked. You know, if I would have known this was going on, I would have beat the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I grew up. You know, this is what someone's going to listen to. But
They do. Those bullies do listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
that's all bullies listen to.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the only thing they listen to.
So, fortunately, you know, he grew up to be taller, good-looking kid, had a career starting in high school in social media, becoming a model and a brand sponsor. And then he got all the kids at high school that were making fun of him, like, because they're jealous.
Yep.
You know what that's like.
Yeah.
If you're good-looking or successful, nobody likes that. So, you know, he left. I think he actually found kids that became his friends that were a lot like him. And it's, you know, we found out later with Coop that he's exceptionally bright, really smart. So I think, you know, the world lives on a spectrum.
Yes. Yes.
And the world wants us to be where the majority of are in the middle.
Sure.
But when you're more gifted, you know, athletically or
Totally.
or intellectually or artistically, you move towards the end of the spectrum.
You're an outlier.
Yeah, you're an outlier. The world in the middle doesn't like that, and they get jealous and they get bitchy and they get hurtful. But when you're younger, you internalize all that stuff, and you don't know that it doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think about yourself
Of course.
and what's in your heart.
That's tough.
But that's maturity.
Exactly.
that's hard,
like,
bro.
yeah.
So we normally get all of our kids, like I think we obviously, everybody in this room has gotten through that stage of your life to where you've survived the things that you've done, and you're going through a life experience of maturity. And that's what we try to get our kids through. But today, what's happening with the self-medication,
Right.
they're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the message we're trying to tell. We have a couple messages. One message is we're trying to tell the kids and the parents and everybody out there is that we want you to understand what the landscape is like. You're in a minefield and you're going to die. If you take anything, you're going to die. If you have to be absolutely 1,000% that it comes directly from a U.S. governed pharmacy. If you are not sure, you today have a 70% chance you're going to die.
That's what we talk about.
And how do
man.
you know that 100% for sure unless you're actually the person that went and picked up the prescription bottle from
You
the
don't.
pharmacy?
You have to.
Because
don't.
I could put whatever pills I want into
Yeah.
a container with my name on
A
it.
lot of parents do that.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
And you're right. You don't know. We've had an instance right after my son passed away that there's a couple kids up in a very well-known college in California, in Northern California. You got to be smart. Got to be really smart to get there. Exceptional. Coop passed away on June 9th of 2022. That was the beginning of finals for colleges. And the week afterwards, we heard there's these two girls, best friends, came from here up in Northern Cal, going to school, studying for finals. One of them ran out of her Adderall, and she has a test the next day.
Oh, damn.
So she goes to her best friend and she's like, hey, I've got one. Here, take one of mine. Your prescription comes in tomorrow. Well, and she didn't know that her best friend had got that from somebody else. The girl passes away from fentanyl.
Oh.
Damn.
Now, these aren't kids that party. These aren't kids that were trying to self-medicate.
Oh my
They're
God.
taking an Adderall for
Yeah.
test
Yeah.
enhancement. It's just fucking insane.
That's
is
the
heartbreaking.
message that I want out there
Yeah.
because like what society believes is that it's the addicts and the
Yeah.
alcoholics who are
Yeah.
not the alcoholics,
The addicts.
but the
Yes.
the addicts,
abusers.
the abusers.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to tell y'all, the abusers, the addicts, the real addicts, they're not dying. They're not dying because they are, but they're not dying. They have a high tolerance to this stuff. Now, if we bring them into treatment and we get them clean and they go back out onto the streets, they're dead.
Yeah.
That happens more often that way now than before. And like, I mean, it's just, I just can't.
So
you know?
Coop talks about, he did a number of Instagram posts. He was open about talking about what his experience was. He wrote the opening about his story on the Discord platform. You see it under Coop's story on a channel that he wrote. And he talks about that he has been an addict since he was 9. And he says, I've been struggling with addiction since I was 9 years old, which that seems crazy to a lot of people. But what 9 years old was for Cooper when he was prescribed Adderall for being, couldn't sit still in class. They wanted to keep him in the box. What we found out later on for him being so bright was that he was just bored, and he didn't have the stimulus enough to keep his attention going. So, I see you guys are going through that. And there's the general chat. If you go through, scroll down, there's got to be, let's see. I thought there's a venting channel, not the venting boys channel, but you could go through this.
I'll show them later what it is.
Yeah, there's a venting channel. I think if you scroll down, that's where kids are basically really focused on talking about their struggles.
But I mean, that's where I'm like, you and your family, it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. And clearly, Cooper was already ahead of what he wanted, his mission. Clearly is stated there, before his passing. And that's pretty incredible from a very young boy.
And there's a weird part about it. And what I, part of my survival mechanism is I believe that God has a purpose for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether you're religious or not, or spiritual, whether you believe in God or, Buddha or energy or whatever. Again, I try to look at life very simply. We can't take you into a lab or a medical lab and open you up and find the source or the power source of your life. Like, here's the battery, in Chad's body. You're not going to find it. We are alive, I believe, spiritually, living here from something that we can't explain. And so I believe in God.
Yeah.
And so I believe that, that's where our life is coming from. And it's just incredible that we are here in this moment, living this way, and that we're dealing with these things and these forces that are here to help us in some way, but also things that are here to destroy us, and giving us so much options to do that, and even without even an option, when we don't even know, or somewhat victims of that. And when I see what's happening today with the landscape of, illicit drugs and fentanyl, I'm just completely mind blown that we're in this situation, and I feel that we're so helpless.
What do we do? I have a 14-year-old. He's awkward. He feels awkward. He tells me he's awkward. He says, Dad, I'm going to go, but I feel awkward, but I'm still going to go through it. How long is that confidence going to last? Like, how does anybody out there, what I'm trying to say? Like, it's tough.
It's really tough. If you're
I'll tell you what I've done.
If you're asking for me, like, what I would suggest to you, the more that you can openly talk and get an environment to talk with your kids and encourage them to also talk to other people, that it's okay. There's a saying that one of Cooper's friends started a separate foundation called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay." I mean, that's really what it's about. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, it's okay to feel awkward. I feel awkward all the time. I'm like 49 years old, and I have felt awkward my whole entire life. I tell my kids it's okay to just feel awkward.
Well, you were even saying the other day at that night out.
Like embrace your awkwardness, because that's what makes you authentic. And I get it though. I get it. Yes, I get it that it is hard when you are a teenager because you're in your most awkward stage of life.
Yeah.
And the people are really mean.
Look, it's hard and awkward today for us as adults.
Yeah, it is.
We were joking earlier about the dating app, but like, let's just say I'm on the dating app
Yeah.
and I can't find somebody that that's working for me. Like, what's wrong with me? How come nobody wants to be with me?
Half of marriages end in divorce. I mean, it's a nightmare.
I mean, you
right
look
now.
at just what we go through as an adult.
Yeah.
I think we learn to have a little bit better coping skills.
No.
Yeah.
I guarantee we all go through shit when we look in the mirror or wake up and go, "What the fuck?"
Oh boy,
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
hear some of the mean things I say
Yeah.
to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a highly successful
Individual.
Yeah.
individual. And have worked very, very hard on myself. But some days I wake up and I'm like, look at you.
Yeah, right.
Fat.
Where's the fucking toaster and bathtub?
Yeah.
Shit.
But it's like you got to challenge that shit. If I'm gonna like teach people how to do what I do, when those times come up, I start to challenge that, and I'm like, it doesn't. First off, some of the things that I say to myself, they don't even fucking matter. Like
Right.
like
Noise.
Probably not
Yeah,
even
it's
real.
noise. It's not
Noise.
real.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing.
It's
like,
just it's mind
yes.
clutter.
Yeah.
It's negative self-talk,
yeah.
and I think it's part of being human. It's
Yeah.
also our external environment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really look at it, if you can be cognizant of what you eat, smell, read, hear, associate yourself with, that stuff that's going to affect you.
Of course.
You don't have to be an asshole and say, I don't like you. Fuck off. I'm not going to be around
No,
you.
totally.
You can just, maneuver your way and not stay too long with somebody, but choose. Well, the second message that we are trying to convey to kids, so we try to keep it very simple, is that, consider a choice that might be a positive and healthy choice versus a negative and unhealthy choice, and keep it very simple. And so then if they inquire, we try to unpack it from the standpoint of, like, for example, instead of self-medicating, maybe go for a walk,
Totally.
go to the gym,
Yes.
music, journal,
Yes. All
I
of
mean,
the
I mean,
things-
talk with somebody.
it's all of the things that we learn in working like a 12-step program. It's basically giving you the tools to figure out those emotions to walk through, because that's primarily the reason why, whether it's kids or at least myself, is like you just want to just be numb and not feel what you're feeling. Where going into a recovery program, I had to really do a lot of internal work, and that I do consistently every day with my prayers, my meditation. I write, I work out. And
You work out?
And those are the things
she
that
wrestles.
those are the things that you're exactly right, where they don't get. There's not
does.
enough emphasis on what physical activity does for it's scientifically proven.
Yes.
Yeah, your endorphins.
You're
Yes.
100% right.
Those are the chemicals that you are searching for in a drug.
Yes.
And then
So
should we
it's
put
like-
McDonald's in our body too?
Right.
Or-
So it's like those are the seeking chemicals, like
Occasionally.
Yeah, I agree. I 110% agree with
I
that.
keep it in balance.
Yeah.
exactly, moderation is key.
Yeah.
But the dopamine, the serotonin, those are what essentially, I can only speak for myself, but I'm assuming what you're trying to get more of. Hence
Yes.
why the drugs, why the recreation, or you're trying to do a head change. You're trying to get out of like the rat race in your brain.
Yeah, but
So
here's
it's
the
like,
thing. Here's
Fuck,
the thing.
go do literally. I'm gonna tell you, like, because if you aren't doing the stairs, right?
Yeah.
Like the tread stairs.
Yeah, you got to start.
If go do 30 minutes on the tread stairs and do it at a pace that by the time you're done, you're exhausted.
Exactly.
And when you're done and you're exhausted, there's no more all those crappy, negative, bullshit, depressing thoughts.
They're gone.
They're gone.
And have you hurt yourself?
No.
No.
No,
maybe
no.
maybe you pulled.
But here's
a
the
calf or
thing, though,
something.
guys.
Maybe I popped a cat. I have
Yeah,
done
but
that.
Who's taking care of the young people? We got 50% fucking divorce rate. We have 2 parents working in your home, and you have a 15-year-old or
It's
a
our
13-year-old or
responsibility. We got
14-year-old.
podcasts now.
Yes,
we gotta
who can't get to the
start-
gym, who
we
doesn't
got-
know
we
how to
gotta
get to
start
the
putting-
gym.
you
know
can
what
walk
I'm saying?
outside. You can walk
It's
outside.
tough though. We have to be there as parents. We got to do a better job. We got to be as adults.
Society, because
society.
there's not going to always be 2 parents at home, and there's not going to always be a dad. So
And look what else we have. We got rising costs of everything.
Yeah.
That's making things more challenging. Gas, food,
Yes.
all that.
Everything.
But you asked earlier, Shane, like, what do you do, like, with your 14-year-old?
Yeah.
You do what we're doing here. We talk about this. So we talk about it in a real way.
Yeah.
Understanding that we all have shit. We all struggle. We will continue to struggle. But we have choices to make. You're sober because of the choices you've made. There's a time where you could not be sober because it had a grip on you, and you could do all you could do, but you needed help.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you choose, whatever, if it's daily or
And
multiple times.
it's a daily
it's a
choice.
daily choice.
Yeah.
And
That I actively
I mean,
have
we
to
both
pursue.
we both believe that, like, we have a daily reprieve based on our spiritual maintenance, you know. And
Yeah.
that's why I have these non-negotiables, and I want these kids to start having these non-negotiables in their life, man. And I don't care what you believe in. I like what you say, and I choose to believe in God. But
Yeah, me
like
too.
whatever it is you believe in, spend some wake up when you first wake up in the morning, before you grab your phone. Spend some time with that, whatever it is, that entity,
Yeah.
that power that is
Yeah.
greater than you, that you believe in, that you can
talk
do
to.
business.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
And then spend a little bit of time listening.
If you choose in that time in the morning to change your habits about what you're doing, praying, meditating, thinking, if you integrate things like, this morning, every morning I want to wake up and I want to be thankful and grateful for the things in my life this moment,
Yeah.
because it changes.
It does.
You start putting positive things in your mind,
Yeah.
just like
Love that.
better food,
Yes.
just like working out, just like whatever the positive passion may be. Look, life is going to throw negative fucking shit with you no matter what.
No matter what.
So you don't
Walk
need to-
out, heart attack, car crashes, goes through the red light, kills you. You don't need to add more to your life.
Yeah, you don't need it.
So
like
we
that-
talk to
the-
kids about, look, you're okay, and it's okay not to be okay. But the more you talk about it, and the more
Open
you
dialogue.
look, to see about a healthier, positive choice, I'm just saying, trust me, it gets better. You're going to grow through this. You're going to learn, and you're going to build on all of these, and then, eventually, maybe you'll help somebody else.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the problem too is that it's really difficult to do those things because it requires a lot of discipline and work, where it's very easy to sit in your negativity and just scroll on Instagram and go down a negative rabbit hole. So I think that's also a huge factor in it as well, where it's like it requires discipline to not go towards the negative things, because I could do it myself. I could be feeling terrible or something happens, and then I can go down a negative social media rabbit hole if I want to and just make myself feel terrible, or I can make the choice not to do that because I know that it is very much easy to do. So it is a conscious kind of decision and choice that each individual has to be cognizant and make.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you're lucky and fortunate because you have an incredible spouse and partner that kind of pushes you through that mess when you get into it.
And I'm thankful that I didn't have social media like
Exactly.
these kids do.
Yeah.
Right? If I had social media in high school,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be here.
And that's what's so
What-
cool about
what's
making
the-
yourself available to everyone out there. Sorry to interrupt. That people need you. People need someone to call.
They
someone
need to
turn-
hear your story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
Sorry,
people that are following in the same path
Yeah.
as all of us.
for sure.
Yeah,
know?
it's not really. It's different, but it's not different. It's like, what are you feeding your mind with? Because I can tell you right now that if you grab my phone and you go onto my Instagram and you start scrolling through my reels, you're gonna only get like positive little clips of like motivational speakers speaking positivity and goodness and
Yeah.
so what's in your feed, because that's actually an
True.
algorithm, right?
Right.
Yeah,
like
you see
like
more of
like
what you're
Shane, when you go on to Shane's,
Bathing
he's
suits.
like kitties.
I see
What did
that.
you
I
say?
Bathing suits.
Bathing suits, probably bathing suits. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's so
Like,
true,
what's
though.
yours? What is your
My
feed?
top 3 feed is like motivational
Yeah.
like things. Dogs. I love dogs. So,
Really?
Frenchies and goats.
Yeah, you
And,
haven't
like,
seen the
Yeah, they're
she's like
hilarious.
obsessed with goats, and
Goats.
And like these little
Ah, it's
Frenchies,
random.
like their
That's
little
cool.
outfits,
Yeah.
and then makeup.
Wow.
no makeup on any makeup on you.
No makeup
No,
on
no
mine.
makeup
No
for
goats
me.
either.
I've never had a makeup nail.
Hey, okay, so she likes the miniature goats though,
Yeah.
the little ones that jump around
I
crazy.
mean,
Yeah.
there's little goats.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh
tiny,
my goodness.
Baby goats.
Yes, you're gonna have to follow me. It'll make you smile.
And then you'll realize that that's actually her in a nutshell.
Yeah.
She is one of those little goats
Like a little
that
baby
jumps,
goat?
Yeah, just
jumps
like
around.
going-
You should be like
Crazy.
change your deal to baby goat.
I know. I'm a tornado. My husband steers the tornado.
Oh, it's
God bless them.
So,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question? Can you or are you willing to tell us a little bit about Cooper and about his life, how he was, how he got to where he was?
Yeah. So,
By the way, really quick, my son's name is Cooper.
oh really?
Yeah,
How old's your son?
17.
Wow. Good for you. Did your son know of my son at all?
Probably.
Yeah,
not.
you should ask him.
I didn't. I didn't ask my kids yet.
Okay. Well, I was alluding to it a little earlier that when Cooper was in elementary school, he went through this whole, this growing up phase and struggled with it. And he got introduced to weed when he was in seventh, eighth grade.
Yeah.
And, the kids that were smoking weed, he was more accepted by them than the kids that were athletes. And even though he was an exceptional athlete, I grew up as an athlete, and I'm the kind of person that I've had a fair amount of success with it, but I'm a product of a lot of hard work. Like I got to do reps 1,000 times to get something down. Coop could walk up, like hit a golf ball and just hit it pure. He could do anything. He's just gifted. I wish I had that. And he was very successful with it, but it was like, and he got a lot of accolades for it, but it never really just clicked with him. That's not where he got, that, I call it the hole. And this is what I was trying to discuss earlier when we were talking about God. I think all of us have this black hole in our being. And we try to fill it. There's something that's missing with that. I believe it's the relationship with God.
Yeah.
That once we turn ourselves to God, we fill this, get full with positive things, and we feel not like completeness, but we feel a fulfillment. And short of that, I think we try to stuff that black hole with whatever it might be that we're struggling with. And it could be shopping, it could be sex, it could be food, it could be plastic surgery, drugs, alcohol, all this stuff. So, Coop struggled with this, went to high school, started drinking a lot, started partying a lot. And there was an instance when he was 14, he started hanging with some kids in San Clemente, and we knew this was not going in a good direction. But, you can't, put your kid, lock him up in your house and tell him you're going to only do this, and these are your friends. I think you end up pushing them farther away from you. And you're trying to talk, and you're trying to get to the bottom of this. But as parents, if anything's going to break up your marriage, it's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
And it really put the stress on our marriage because we were living with fear and that the other shoe was going to drop at any time. He would go see his friends in San Clemente. He wasn't driving yet. I'd go pick him up. There was one night that he had sent a message and said, "Can you pick me up about 8:30?" which was normally early. I said, "Sure." I told Treva, "I'm going to leave early, get on the toll road, make some phone calls. I'll get there and wait for him early, and then I got things I can do." I think I got there. I was on the way there. It was like 7:45, and I get a message from his phone. And I go, "Coop, what's up?" And he goes, "Is this the father of Cooper Noriega?" And I go, "Yes, who's this?" And he goes, "This is San Clemente Fire Department. We have your son in an ambulance on the way to Mission Hospital. He's overdosed." And he was found, he was with some kids. Apparently they threw him out of a car, left him in the street.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, holy fuck, like that, the world is
Yeah.
like, call my wife, get to the hospital, blah, 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 et cetera. So I don't remember what it is that he took at that time, but it was alcohol and something else. If I had to look back, it probably was Xanax, because that was his drug of choice. And so, you know, he was scared. We chatted with him. We talked to a bunch of people. We talked to some recovery folks. And they all said, you know, he needs help, you know. And what they recommended for us to do was to send him to a wilderness program and then an aftercare for that. So it's like we're looking at this thing and we're just, you know, reeling. I think it was about a month later, and it was in the summer, we knew that he had been getting high again and drinking and doing something. We were fearful. We had him, what they call gooned. I think you know the term.
Oh, yeah.
Where they pick you up in the middle of the night,
Oh, yeah.
take you in a van.
I did that.
They drove him to Utah.
What do you mean you did that?
I've picked a guy. I've gooned a guy.
Oh, you gooned a guy. Yeah,
Yeah, you're big
I
enough
knew-
to go to
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I
The
knew.
guys that came in were big.
Yeah,
They were big guys.
Yeah.
So that was the most heartbreaking night. Oh my
Wow.
God. We, you know, they're calling us on the phone. Cooper came home. He was watching TV.
How old was he at this time?
14.
Okay.
And we go down, you know, to the parking lot by the beach where we live. They're going to give us a message. They said, he's fine. He's calmed down. He's in the van. We're on our way. We'll let you know. So they drove to Utah, and he went to the facility there, and you end up getting, you know, checked out, outfitted.
Yep.
They drive you several hours deep into the wilderness, and you're with a group. You detox,
Yeah.
and you begin therapy, and you break down
Yeah.
your life, kind of like SEAL Team 6. They break you down physically, and then you're rebuilt back. And you're in a very primitive situation where, you know, you got a 50, 60-pound backpack, and you're learning to build fires, cook your own food, you know, shit in a hole that you've
Yep.
dug, and move on from deal to deal. And you have therapy sessions. And, you know, it worked. And he really liked it. And we went out there twice, and one time to see him, and the last time was when he was graduating from there. We spent the night, and it was the first night of winter. And I thought I would never survive this. It snowed.
Yeah.
You
How long
know.
did he do it for?
It was like a little over 90 days.
Okay.
And so when we saw him at the end, he had grown. He was probably about 5'8" at the time now, and he put on some muscle. And it was like this little kid now is this kind of big, good-looking
Yeah.
kid. Got his act together. I gotta tell you a side story. So we met this little guy. I can't remember his name, but he came out there when we were there for the last time. He had just came in. So think about this. This kid's coming from China. He's an American kid. He's living in China. His parents are there working. They somehow figure out that he's got to go to this wilderness camp. So he flies from China
Wow.
to L.A. From L.A., he's picked up and met and driven to Utah. And he spends a day there and a night getting facilitated. And then they drive him 2-3 hours back into the wilderness. And this guy was about 5'4", 5'5", little thin kid with glasses. And he's got to carry a 50, 60-pound pack. And I go, that kid's going to die. And winter, it just started, started snowing. And this isn't deep in the wilderness of Utah, right? The kid's going to die. Not going to make it. I kind of felt like they're not going to let him die. I just don't know how he's going to survive.
Yeah.
So his first couple days there, they isolate you because you've got to conform. Like if you're, you know, acting out and, you know, I don't need to be here.
Yeah, of
Or
course.
you're going to be over here on your own tent. We're going to guard you and watch you. If you're like in solitary. So he got broken into, got to be with the rest of the group. And I remember when we were leaving, everybody's, you know, hugging Coop and saying, you know, good luck and blah, 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 you graduated. I kept thinking about that little kid. I don't know how he's going to make it. But I heard later on, we actually ran into him at the airport several months later. Coop had come home from the aftercare for a weekend. That kid was coming home from a weekend too. And he'd gotten a little bigger. And I remember those guys seeing each other. And I walked up and I hugged him and I go, dude, I don't know. It's a miracle. I don't know how he lived.
Mm-hmm.
Because this thing was brutal.
What did he say?
It's a good program.
Was it Provo?
No, this was in Duchesne.
Yeah, yeah, right in the woods there.
Yeah,
it is a
and-
good program.
Jeez.
And so,
Sorry.
so then Coop goes to aftercare, which is a boarding school.
Yeah.
And what we learned afterwards from Cooper was the wrong program to go to. There was drugs. There was a bunch of other stuff going on with the female workers and how.
Yeah.
And so most of the kids that left there went back and did drugs again and fell right back. Coop did as well. But
How
from
long was he there for?
I'd say it was the rest of the school year, so like 6-8 months.
Wow.
So shit ton of money later. You know, at a bad time.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't great for us, but you know, you do what you can for your
Yeah.
kids. What happened with Coop was he came back, didn't fit in, didn't feel that he fit in. You know, like other kids, goes to party. There's drinking, there's weed. You know, I'm certain there was Xanax. And then somehow he ended up going to a party in the Hollywood Hills that was all these social media influencers and aspiring artists, you know, singers, musicians, etc. And I don't know if you guys remember this or are aware of this, but at the time, it was the beginning of where these talent agencies would, it's kind of like what Disney used to do. And Disney would get like the Demi Lovato's and and the Ariana Grandes and put them on TV shows.
Yeah.
And they were like actress, model, singer, blah blah.
Yeah.
And that's how they would like seed these. And if they do is they like Miley Cyrus was part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get them a show, put them on a show, and if they were successful enough, they might go off to a career. If not, you don't hear about them again.
Yeah.
Well, at this time when Coop was involved in this, the talent groups were renting really expensive
Yeah.
bougie homes
Yep.
and putting kids there. Like there was the Sway Boys, there was the No Content House for girls, there was some of these other. They
Yeah.
put these people from around the country that had talent and aspiring, right, possibly potential.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you think about it, you've got 17 to 19-year-old kids in a house in Hollywood with one person overseeing it, and they're there to create social media
Totally.
content and work in the studio, work on their craft, whatever. But if you think there wasn't any partying going on, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
But Coop went to a party and met his best friend, an artist by the name of Jaden Hostler. And Jaden was an up-and-coming singer and songwriter, and they just connected. And they both were kind of the same, you know, good-looking kids, but just never really, you know, felt that they fit in. And so they spent a lot of time together, and Coop connected with them. All of a sudden, he's going up there, you know, from Thursday through Monday, and we met the kids. They came down to meet with us, you know. It's the beginning of the tats, the beginning, you know, they're all starting to vape and smoke. But he was staying clean, and he felt that he had purpose because he went to kids that he, you know, felt that accepted him or like himself. And so he started doing, you know, TikTok and Instagram videos, and they started getting, you know, likes and started going off, and he started developing his own brand. And I remember Treva and I praying for this. You know, we just want the best for Cooper. I thought, you know, if you could just find the right girlfriend. Oftentimes when you fall in love with somebody and someone believes in you and just adores you, it's the thing that maybe changes you because, you know, you want to please them and you don't want to disappoint them, right? So he meets this gal named Sab, who's a social media influencer who just came out from Florida, and boom, they hit it off, and love of his life.
Wow.
And they were together for a couple of years, and he was clean. And man, I would say this: I'm so happy that he met her, because we can go through our entire life
No, I mean not love.
and not have that. Well, it was a real deal.
Wow.
It was so pure, and it was so loving, and it was just so real.
Yeah.
That you can only know it if you've had that relationship yourself, like husband or wife.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful that they, you know, in the short period that he was here, he got to experience that, and Sabrina did too. But Coop begins struggling again. It's kind of just a number of things that we call a perfect storm happened. Had a falling out with his best friend. He started drinking, and then he started smoking some weed, and then he started taking his Xanax every now and then. And Sabrina, who doesn't do this stuff, was like, worried about him. And then it got to the point like, I don't really want to be around this. You got to stop. You got to change. And they kind of split up, and they kind of didn't. And I think that slippery slope as an addict, when you go back to the thing that you like, and it's somehow you find the comfort. Coop was on his way to a Bible study in Burbank and stopped to get his Xanax from somebody that he knew and he trusted. Damn. And he died from fentanyl.
Oh my gosh.
That was it.
How old was he?
19. He was going to be 20 in 11, 12 days. This is the part that sucked. This is the part. I'm going to try to hold it together to tell you the story. So in our community, we have a neighborhood beach barbecue in the summer every Thursday night. Potluck, bring your stuff, share something with somebody, sit at the beach during sunset on a picnic bench and have dinner. And we cook on an open grill, and it's a lot of fun. Treva and I were there, and I got this message, came through my phone, and it's, unknown. I don't answer unknown messages, but it's unknown. And Mr. Noriega, can you give me a call back, please? This is da-da-da. And I'm thinking, this is one of those like mortgage calls or, spam calls. And then I get another one. I tell Treva, I got this message. And she goes, I got a really bad feeling about this. She goes, maybe we should leave. And I go, and we just finished dinner, and I'm putting stuff in the trash. One of the neighbors and persons there around the fire pit's going, "Hey, dude, you want some?" And I'm like, just fucking these, like I'm 60 something. I'm gonna be 65, and I'm like, do I want to smoke weed? I'm like, no, thanks, man, thanks, bro. It's like I have no interest in this.
Yeah.
And so we decided to go home, and I tried to call back this number, and there's just the typical no answer voicemail.
Yeah.
You just go to voicemail. I'm like, okay. So then the phone call comes back in mid-evening, and it's the LA County coroner, and telling us that our son passed away, and he overdosed, and I'm like in shock, and I can't believe it, and I go, I need some proof that this is not some bullshit fucking thing. So I need to know who you are. I get this unknown number, blah, blah. So we go through a couple of things of email and phone calls, and it's like, it's the real deal. So Treva comes in, my little office is in the garage. I call her and what's up? And I just go, she looks at my face. I go, Coop's dead. And she screams so loud. And she goes back in the house screaming and screaming. I mean, it is, you've never heard anything like this. It's a death scream of a mom, right? I immediately call Sab, who's with Cooper's other best friend, this recording artist named Nessa Barrett. I go, Sab, she usually doesn't answer. Kids usually don't answer the phone, but she answers, and I go, Sab, it's me, Harold. And she goes, I go, Sab, I go, I just got to tell you this. I just got this message. I just want you to hear it from me. You're the first person I'm calling, but Cooper's died. He died of an overdose. And she just starts whatever, and Nessa's like, what's up? And Sab tells Nessa, and Nessa screams, and it's like fucking horrible, okay? I go out in the street, and I call Treva's best friend and catch her at home and say, I just need you to get here. She needs you. You got to be here. So she gets the quick message. She's coming from Laguna to our place. I go out in the street and just collapse. And a neighbor comes by, walking his dog, and he goes, "What's up?" And I tell him, and I don't know him that well. I mean, I know him, and he hugs me, and the reason is they live way up the street. His wife heard Treva scream, and she's a doctor, and she told her husband, "That is not, that's a scream of grief. Get down there." So he came down because kind of acting like he's walking the dog to take, and he sees me out in the street, and I tell him, and it's like, oh man, it was just fucked up. It was horrible. So, we get the information, and then, man, it's such a haze. It's hard to think like what happened. The next day, I mean, well, I remember what happened. This is what I was going to tell you. So the next day is my birthday, June 10th. So this happens on June 9th. And just kind of during the day, in my age group, it's mostly Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And Instagram. I'm starting to get the birthday wishes for Harold, like, "Happy birthday, bro," blah, blah, blah. So it's like in the middle of the night. I mean, we're not sleeping. And I decided to go on my Facebook page and post, like, "Hey, thank you for the happy birthday wishes. But I need to, I needed to tell you guys what's going on." And I tell the world that Cooper has died. And so all those, wasn't the best birthday I had.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of loving reach outs from people. But I thought, like, this is fucked up. People are going to be wishing me happy birthday all now on my birthday. And this has got to stop. I want people to know. And so it was just like this bizarre, you're in a fog, I can't explain what it's like to exist in those days. And then people came over, his friends, his girlfriend, and whatever, and we just started figuring out what we were going to have to do. Like, what's the next steps with all this? Didn't have any plans to, have a service for my son, or what do you do? Didn't plan for him to die. So as the time went on, I told you about the foundation being created, but as time went on, it took until December, which was all 6 months later, for the coroner to finally release, or actually publish the cause of death, which they said it was an accidental overdose from fentanyl. There were some other drugs in the system, clozapam, there was benzos,
Yeah.
but it was fentanyl. And then when I talked to the guy there, he said, "This is what we have to put. Well, I'm just going to tell you this. Your son took what he thought was a Xanax, but it was laced with a lethal dose of fentanyl, and he died. That's why we term it today as accidental." He agreed with me off record. This should be fucking poisoning.
But exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Well, it's by definition of what an overdose is, and by definition of the amount of fentanyl illicit fentanyl that it takes to kill somebody, those don't
no jive.
they don't jive. It's not.
It needs
it's not
to
a
change.
thing. And until, like, I mean, we all call it poisoning because it's you're telling the story that I had 4 months after you, although it was my son-in-law. I love this kid to death. It was my daughter's love of her life. And
you see her pain.
Whenever you see your kid's pain, you're in not much pain too.
It's fucking horrible.
It
should not have happened.
No.
It wasn't meant to happen. Coop had in his bag that he carried Narcan, but you don't have time
Totally.
to self-administer Narcan.
No, you don't. You don't know that. You don't know what's happening.
I didn't know this component that I learned later from the End Overdose group is that don't use alone.
No.
Because if something happens, somebody else has to administer this to you. And so what transpired after that was there was an investigation there was one police officer in the city of Burbank that looked into it. They're going to basically just say, "We're done here, it's accidental." He dug a little deeper. He didn't think it was accidental. And what's led to, and this is something I think would be important for you to know, he felt that it required investigation. So they opened up an investigation. That's still ongoing today.
Oh wow.
And in California, if you have an investigation that has legs, there's not a whole lot of support for it at the state and local level, financially, manpower, and all that, because it's still not like a big deal. It's not important enough, I think, yet. And they don't allocate the resources. But if the detective thinks that there's enough here, then they bring in the DEA, and the DEA will look at this thing and they're all over it. If you were to get a conviction at the state level, basically it's a slap on the wrist, and the hoops you got to go through to get a conviction at the state level,
Huge.
it's just, you're not going to get much out of it. It's starting to change very slowly and just very recently. But if you bring the DEA in and you get a conviction, you're probably looking 15, 20 years of life. They're legit and they're serious about it. We're fortunate that the DEA is involved with this and has been involved, which has led me to, I did a podcast with the head of the LA DEA,
Wow.
become good friends with him. He's, they've reached out to us for help to getting their message out. I'm waiting on scheduling to do a podcast with the head of the DEA in Virginia, probably in November. And so there's been some things I'm thankful that this has happened, but I'm also hopeful that there will be a successful result from the investigation and maybe prevent other kids from dying from the people that gave our son Xanax or illicit Xanax,
Yeah.
fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl.
So now that just led us to to learn more about this, to do more about it. And the involvement is, like I mentioned, DEA, podcasts, expanding the Discord. Treva and I were filmed to have a small portion of in a documentary that's been out some of the film festivals recently. And that group now has engaged us. They want to do a short film for documentary purposes for the next year's cycle of festivals. Will be on the life of Cooper and his message and what this kid has done. What he saw before he died to create and what it's taken on. So we're very thankful that someone wants to kind of like really do a formal message about that. And I don't know. We'll see where things are maybe the next time we meet, because new doors keep opening, and we're all welcome to it.
Yeah, constantly, man. New doors are opening, and we're all fighting the exact same battle. It's just, I'm sorry for your loss, man.
Very
Thanks.
sorry for your loss.
And now you did an amazing job telling that story. That not one of us was not crying. I could see both of you guys, and
what you're doing is like incredibly brave. It's courageous to you and your wife and your family.
I want to share this with you, that maybe you see this in your world particularly. I opened myself up to be able to want to talk with other dads that have gone through this. My wife is in a grieving moms group, mostly women from Newport and Corona del Mar. There's about a dozen of them, and 75% of them lost kids to fentanyl.
yeah,
Other ones have been suicide, accidents, some form of passing. But dads, I've met one or two in the last 16 and a half months. Men don't want to talk.
Yeah.
They just don't want to talk. And I couldn't find anybody to talk with. I tried to do other things to express. And everybody involved with Cooper, except Treva, buried their grief. And I think it's human tendency to do that. For me, I couldn't deal with it. It was too overwhelming. I just couldn't function. I got to make a living. I got family to support. I got commitments and obligations. But you feel like you just can't live because the grief is so overwhelming. So you don't let it in. for a few people that were close to Cooper, like his girlfriend, around January, she tried, and other people tried to commit suicide. You know, unsuccessfully. Thank God. I've never been a person that ever thought about that as an alternative. I don't quit in what I do. Just how I've been brought up in my DNA. I've had to overcome to get out of where I was living, to be successful because of discrimination. I've had to overcome being short to be successful in athletics. Had to overcome being Hispanic to be successful in business, to make money and be successful with it. I have had to work very hard and be very disciplined and pay prices to be who I am for the reasons that I stuffed my black hole, right? But in December, I was sitting there trying to think about how I would do this, how I would commit suicide. Like, how do you do this? You know, and it's kind of bizarre. It's weird. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to put a gun in my mouth. It's too messy. I don't want anybody to find me that way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use a rope. A friend of mine did that and around the same time for a different reason committed suicide. But it doesn't always work. So I'm like, how do you do this? So here's my analytical business mind. Like what's the right way to do this? And then I hit it, and well, something spiritually happened. And I let it go, and I let the shame and the disappointment about Cooper go. And I knew that it was God, and there was work for me to do. This is what Coop had told me. There's work for you to do, and I need you, and you'll know when it's me leading you, and you'll know when it's me when it's not the right time. It'll resonate, and follow that. And I was able to let everything go. I was able to move forward, and be here, do stuff, be okay. Still struggle, but not like those thoughts. And I try to get other men to talk. I was introduced to a guy who just lost his son to fentanyl 2 weeks ago. And last weekend they had the service. I was introduced to him from somebody that we mutually know. It said, could you reach out to this guy for me? And we were going to talk, and we kept missing each other. I was busy, I was traveling, and you need time to set aside. And on the way here, I sent a message and said, hey, let's chat today. Then I got a message back. I don't think I'm ready yet. I don't know if I can. He was really ready, and then he's not ready. And it's like, this is what happens with men for some reason. And I just said, that's cool, it's no worries. Just, be careful about grief. It's dangerous. My hope is that more dads and men like me, husbands, partners, whatever, can somehow open up.
Yeah. We do a Zoom meeting every Tuesday night, and all are welcome. It doesn't matter if you're addict. We have, my point is I wanted to say you're right. We have probably five.
Yeah, I was gonna say
three to five
sure.
moms on our group who have lost their sons to fentanyl, and 90% women in our group of 35 people that show up to our Zoom meeting. I don't know how many are on the because we also stream it live on.
It's very disproportionate, isn't it?
Is it? Yes, very.
But I'm telling you, we all grieve.
Oh yeah.
And grieving is like being pregnant and delivering a baby. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. And you're going to deal with it. And what I've learned for me is the more I can acknowledge it and get in front of it when I feel grief, it's easier to process. It's healthier versus it can lead you to self-destruction.
For sure. And you, by what you're doing, like even here today, not only are you sharing, tragedy in the sense of what you and your family had to walk through with Cooper, but you're also being a voice to the men, letting them know and letting them hear you and your powerful words on how you're able to cope. It's not that you're just stuffing those feelings, because you're right, it will at some point in time come to a head where you're going to have to deal with it, and obviously hopefully not in a negative manner. And the only way that you can do that is by talking about it, especially talking to others who have experienced that exact pain, because then you can walk through that together.
I didn't think it could be much worse for us because we're close to our kids. It's not like we kicked our kid out and he's, Skid Row and the bad kid or whatever. But I did meet a dad through somebody who connected with me who lost his 2 sons in one night to fentanyl. Both his children. Both boys were partying. They took some perks and didn't know how to have fentanyl. This guy lost both his kids.
Yeah, I have.
I mean, that's fucked up.
That is,
my
That's really fucked up.
my wife's very first boyfriend. He had 4 brothers, and one of them just died in their sleep, and then her ex-boyfriend, they say it was an accidental gunshot wound to the head, and then the third brother couldn't handle it, drove off of a cliff. They have 1 kid left.
It's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the news that came out on George Floyd? Remember George Floyd,
Yeah.
like the
Fentanyl.
gentleman that got supposedly beat up and killed by the cop that went to prison?
Yeah, it's fentanyl.
It's fentanyl.
Yeah.
There was no,
oh my God.
the coroner's report. There's no physical signs of trauma, of dying from anything. It was fentanyl. That's messed up.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a whole
whole
nother that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole
and
other-
we can open up that one, but
That's a whole other uprising.
You made a
man.
comment on one of your podcaster shorts, like it's hard to understand, like why the cartels would do this. So the DEA just came out within the last month. It used to be 6 out of 10 are of any non-prescription legit drug is laced with fentanyl, which is, let's throw the basket out that everybody thinks about: heroin, coke, meth, ecstasy, but it also includes vape cartridges, weed, Adderall. I mean, all this stuff, right? So it was 6 out of 10. Now it's 7 out of 10.
7.
So it's increasing. And you made a comment on one of your pods that, like, why would people do this? Why would the cartel do this?
Yeah, I did.
And everybody asks me that question. Why does this happen?
Why would you kill your customers?
Why do you kill your customers? You know what the response is consistently from everyone: Homeland Security, DEA, FBI, all that. It's cost of doing business. If I can addict 3, 4 out of 10, fuck the other 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's about the money.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, because
billions.
people, like I said in the beginning of this or middle of this podcast, it's not the addicts, it's not the addicted one that's dying.
Yeah, it's the girl that's in college studying, taking Adderall, which is a
Well, and see, that's the
it's
other
like-
part too, though, and we we need to educate that any of the drugs that are not coming from our pharmacies the pills are being pressed by the same machines
Counterfeit.
that are pressing the fentanyl, and they're not being cleaned. They don't care.
This is not done in any type of pharmaceutical lab.
No.
This is in some shack.
Yeah.
I mean, you go look at
It's-
Narcos and see where these guys are doing
Yeah.
drug. It's not in a clean environment.
No.
They're just pressing fentanyl, and it's highly addictive. If we can get another addict, there's more money. But there's always more customers.
Always.
Right?
I know, and see, with the mental health problems that are going on today, there's another customer. So that's what somebody I think that same podcast, whoever I asked that question to said there's always another customer.
This is what's sick about that. And we can stop this.
Well, it's a
stop it.
gross circle, because it starts literally everywhere, in the sense of your doctors, your medical, when you go, they're prescribing drugs to people like candy that they shouldn't be. When it's like you need to be addressing what is really going on with that individual, whether it's like they are truly have a mental disorder that needs to be sorted out, or they have some underlying issue, instead of just giving pills like they're just like, you're getting candy at the store. Then you have the narrative where you see articles left and right about people overdosing. Stop using that. They're not overdosing. They're getting poisoned.
Exactly. There is, that needs to change. That vernacular needs to change.
For sure.
At the professional level, with our
Yes.
with what people are being charged with, what autopsy reports are coming out with. Our laws have to change. We support the Alexandra's Law, which is part of it's called the Drug-Induced Homicide Foundation.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman named by Matt Capilouto out of the Inland Empire whose daughter passed
Pretty
away.
sure we met him.
And he's trying
We did,
to
yeah,
get
met
the
him.
guy, yeah.
he's trying to get legislation changed, and it's pushing a boulder uphill in California. I mean, we're just
That
our
one guy got charged in Temecula, the first one.
first one.
First one, he got charged with murder.
Well, the
It's slowly
the
happening.
sheriff in Orange County said he was going to charge them, and I said, and then it's the responsibility of the DA to pick that up, though,
Yeah.
right? But he's was going to charge people with homicide. I think look. I come from the era of drugs when it was illegal to possess marijuana, and it was illegal. It was a felony to possess a small, tiny piece of methamphetamines, and if you possessed it, you were going to jail. So there's no consequences anymore, which is part. It's a problem, at least in my opinion. But I feel that if you're selling a narcotic, and you know that you're selling a drug and you know it contains fentanyl, you should be charged with attempted murder.
This is the struggle at the legal level. It's that, and this is it in a nutshell. They have to prove that the person knew.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got that. You have to prove they knew, so that that was the intent. Doesn't it, by the mere fact that it's now 7 out of 10 has these, that you are almost overwhelmingly going to be selling something that has fentanyl? Doesn't that eliminate that burden of proof?
It eliminates it.
Shouldn't it?
For me, yeah.
If it was 1 out of 10, I can maybe understand the argument that you got to prove it.
Sure.
But that there's an overwhelming majority of a chance that you're peddling poison.
And it's increasing.
So there's the head of the DEA, Ann Milgram. Her title's administrator. She runs the whole thing. Statistically, she makes this point. There is not one person in the United States that has not been directly affected or does not know someone who's passed from fentanyl.
Yeah.
There's not a degree of separation.
Right.
It's somebody directly.
What was that movie? Was it?
That's pretty.
That's scary. That's
It's
frightening.
frightening.
And it's like, but why? I think
Where's the response?
exactly.
There's a,
Yeah, one thing that I did see though, I followed the last Republican presidential debate, and the topic of fentanyl came up quite a bit.
yeah.
But it's a talking point for election.
I know.
It's not a talking point for
I
action.
know, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Like if I'm gonna, I don't typically talk
Politics?
my politics on this show unless I'm like bashing like my own side. Like do something.
Yeah.
Like fucking do something. I'm sick of I'm sick
Talk.
of hearing them
Action.
come out and talk about it. Come out onto the news channel and talk about it and not be about it and not do something because man, we're going to be having 40, 50, 60, 70 million people standing beside us at some point, and then they're going to do something, because I'm done. I'm done seeing another. This is how I see it. You have to understand.
You see it
I see
every
your
day.
pain every week.
I know.
It's fucking horrible. I've had to pick parents up from the airport, my friends, buddies, and just like, and at the time that you were laying in the grass, and they had to get on a plane and fly down here. We lost our good friend, in, was it April?
Yeah.
Towards the end of
Yeah.
April, our basketball teammate. Good friend of ours. He was one of our first on this podcast.
Yeah.
We lost him.
A few months after the podcast.
Yeah, a few months after the
Yeah.
podcast started. And it's stuff like this, though. It's having you on this podcast and
Yes.
stuff like this
Sharing your
that
story.
continues to fuel us.
Yeah.
Like, I have a burning. I turn my pain into like this purpose. I let that fire just burn. I wake up every day excited to go attack whatever I'm gonna attack, whatever God puts in front of me, and eventually, the right voices are gonna hear.
Mm-hmm.
Not the right voices, the right ears
Yeah.
are gonna hear.
I know what you
I'm like, you did, huh?
I did.
Because you mess up like I do all the time.
Yeah, but we all
Oh, now I point fingers at you.
Yeah.
I
mess up at all.
need somebody.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but everything we do is recorded, so it's like we mess up. It's really bad
Yeah,
sometimes,
it is.
right?
Well, anything that we can do to help you guys.
Likewise. I mean, I seriously,
Yeah,
I can't
man.
say it enough. What you're doing is so powerful. It's so meaningful, not only to us, for you to come here, share your story, but what you're also doing, like, Cooper's legacy is like living on through you and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's
and you're
cool.
helping so many people that whether or not they are, logged into the Discord or anything, they're hearing you because they're super big fans of Cooper, which then continue to have his message that he was even creating before he passed continue on. And that's what's important.
Thank you. It still blows me away that, when we got started, I thought, we need to run with this because it's like a depreciating asset. He's eventually going to be forgotten. And that's life, right? People move on. That hasn't happened.
No, not with you, not with the foundation.
I
not
mean,
with
it
what
just
you're
gets
doing.
itself.
Yes.
And we still get these messages and people do stuff and people reach out. And it's, to me, I say it in a very humble and respectful way. It's almost like a Jesus experience.
Yeah.
Jesus was on the planet for 33 years, but by his death and his works, he changed the world for centuries.
Yeah.
Still is.
Cooper's impact from his
Right.
death
Yes.
has had such an incredible meaning and impact with the world. I mean, literally the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's the least that I can do to do whatever I'm being asked to.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna steal Shane's thunder because
What?
he loves
No.
thunder.
I love thunder.
Shane loves.
I love lightning
Thunder.
and thunder.
Do you want me to let you? You,
No,
you want
do
the
it,
thunder?
baby. You do it.
All right, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna always have. So we're gonna have. We're gonna do a scholarship in your son's name for treatment. When we do this, we'll do a scholarship, and this will be a scholarship for forever. So, whenever somebody comes in, we'll give them as much time as they need in treatment until they're done, and then as soon as that person is done, that scholarship reopens. So that'll
I
be a
mean, like
life
somebody can get treatment
All year.
Yes.
for free.
for free.
Free.
Yeah.
All year long.
Yep.
It'll just
And-
rotate among people
and your
all year
son's
long.
name.
Rotate. Yep, in your son's name.
You understand? So that's like $1 million. That's 30 grand a month. Really, that's what treatment is. So it'll go 30,000 times 12, bro. That's $1 million. $1 million he just donated to your foundation.
Can
right there.
we be of any type of help, or
Well, I'd like
can
for
we
you guys
speak to your kids? Can we?
Absolutely.
What can we do to? We're yours.
Well, we're gonna we want to stay in touch with you because we're
We want to grow.
We're about to do go on a speaking tour as
Yeah.
well. Natalie Eva Marie is a WWE superstar, so she's a pretty good speaker.
I love how he just wants to throw me in the bus and run
think-
me over.
Into the
I
bus.
think he-
nice
I think
throw
he
you into
likes
the
you.
bus. Into the bus.
I think he
not
likes
onto
you.
the bus.
Yeah,
Into the bus.
if I don't like her, I'm not teasing her.
No.
That's true.
But the thing is that she spoke in front, she had to do live events.
Yeah.
110,000 people in a bathing suit. Yeah.
True.
That's true.
Her husband
Yeah.
doesn't care if the world pictures her in a bathing suit
No.
because she did.
Because that's his
That-
wife.
yeah.
That's
very-
my wife.
Very proud
Yeah.
man and
Very
very
proud.
amazing
Yeah, really
man.
great guy. Yeah.
Really good guy.
You like her more than her? I like him more than her.
They really do. They like him way more than me.
Yeah,
but
like
that's
we
not
wish
me.
he was here.
They
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
like my wife more than me. Trust me.
Yeah.
That's Coop's mom which her name now is Mom.
Yeah.
Mom to millions.
Yeah.
Mom.
She's a mom to millions.
Yeah.
How's she doing?
She's doing okay. She struggles. It's hard.
Oh, for sure.
I can't describe words what she goes through, but I'll just say that it's fucking hard for her.
Yeah.
She does a great job. She's a great woman. She's a woman of faith. She's very strong, and yet, when you see the hurt and weak side of someone because they're so vulnerable, they're so what's the word I want to say? They're so hurt.
Yeah, there's like a little bird.
They're so
weak.
hurt. It's
Yeah,
like
just
it's
Raw.
yeah, it's heartbreaking. There were times that I feared coming home that she would not be there.
Yeah.
But no, she's strong. She's stronger, a lot stronger than me. But she also feels greater and emotes greater and expresses it. I remember I mentioned she grieved. I mean, a lot of us didn't. She's just tougher.
yeah.
And she's a good woman. She's tougher. Great mom.
Yeah.
Great wife.
Yeah.
Great friend. Very rare. We sat down the next day, June 10th, and I remember saying to her, this is the kind of thing that'll break up our marriage. We have to make a determination now and a commitment, no matter what happens, to stay together because it'll break us up. This is beyond us.
Yeah.
And we, just did what we had to do.
You both are incredible.
That's awesome
Yeah, man.
and incredible because
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that my dad lost his first son when he was 18 months old. He got run over by a car by the babysitter. He had just like waddled out into the front yard. It was on my oldest sister's third birthday, which was February 2nd, and they split up. They couldn't maintain it, but thankfully they did because I wouldn't have been born otherwise because he met my mom. But so February 2nd was the day my brother died. Years and years later, my son Cooper was born on February 2nd.
Wow.
And
Right?
yeah. And that day, that horrible day has now turned back into a beautiful day.
Wow.
For the family. Like my sister hated her birthday her whole life until my son was born. And she's 17 years older than me. So,
I want to share something with you guys that I want you to, whether you want to, you could do with what you want with it. Let me find this.
But that's like another God moment, like
Yeah.
God does little things like that to
just shows you and
So,
proves
yeah,
that there's a
exactly.
God, and it just
Okay. So,
I always thought he was sharing something with the
okay. So I'm going to,
yeah,
Shane, go back to
Yeah.
your spot.
okay. So
get back in place.
I mentioned to you earlier that, I think this thing is bigger than all of us.
Agree.
And like I mentioned that I know my faith in God, the message I got earlier when I was at that suicidal point was from somebody who was a friend, but not a close friend, an acquaintance and previous business associate, and gave me this message that this is from Cooper. She said she had this ability to speak with those that have passed, and do I want to hear it? And if you don't want to, it was cool. And so she said, sure, and she told me this, and I looked at it and I said, not a whack job, totally normal person. It's like, wow, but to have that feeling of, of shame and guilt to be released, to move forward. It was real. Coop's girlfriend, Sab, she and another one of his close friends, they're both models and brand influencers. And I think it was around March or so this year. They're on they have a job to go to Morocco, and they're doing a shoot, I think, for like YSL or Dior, one of the two. So they're there, and they're being filmed, and they're doing content on their own, and they're being filmed for the shoot. Sab decides to bring one of those little disposable cameras. All right, and she tells a story that when she was in the hospital and she got rushed there because she had, attempted suicide with some alcohol and drugs. Coop appeared to her and said, "It isn't time for you to go. There's stuff for you to do, and you're going to be fine." And she lived. And they just really don't know how that happened with all this stuff. So she's there with this Fuji camera and takes some pictures of her and her friend. Like, take one of me, we're out here sightseeing, right? She comes back home, develops it, calls Treva immediately when she looks through the digital portion of the film, and she goes, "I'm going to send you this, and you got to see this." So if something comes through, just swipe it. This is a picture that's her friend Emma, that's Sab. There's a picture of Cooper in the middle of the digital film. This camera was in the box, it was in the wrapper, and it was in the vellethane over it that she brought from the United States. Never opened it up until she got
It was
there.
it was actually in
between
right. So he all of a sudden appeared into a closed camera in her when she went to develop these.
And it's like, wait a minute,
Wow.
this was, because you opened the camera before you left. She goes, "No, it's wrapped up, it's in a box, and it has the clear velvet."
Even on the trip, and this is from the trip.
We've seen every photo of Cooper out there. We've gone through all his clothes. I mean, we have photos and videos. I mean, you go on the social media, it's everywhere. No one's ever seen that photo. No one's ever seen that T-shirt. No one's ever seen that, where that was. And it's impossible for that to be in that roll of film.
In between, because he wasn't on the trip.
That's insane.
Your microphone, buddy.
He wasn't on the trip.
What's going on,
He
dude?
wasn't on the trip because I'm blown away, bro.
But
I'm
that's
blown away.
That's like another.
I believe in this stuff.
Me too. But that's God.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe in God, so that's my higher power. But
We get
those
these
are those
messages.
signs exactly.
Yeah,
these
we get them all the
signs.
time. We got to look. But this is a big one. You can't mistake this one. But I want to tell you something,
What a
man. They got to
beautiful
bring
boy.
back God, because you said that the big empty hole in everyone in the end is God.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's God, people. Look at what they're doing. They're taking away the village. They're taking away God from school at an early, bloody age.
Who are they? Who are they?
They, you know who they are.
They?
Yeah, them.
So they are taking it away?
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
whoever they are.
Yeah.
The government, people.
Anytime, look. Just so you know, I want to clarify that I'm a recovering meth addict, IV drug.
So you think they are the FBI?
They are always the government.
Always
Yeah.
the government, bro.
Yes.
Yes.
They
That's it. They are the
are
government.
always
Yes.
the government.
Yes, done.
And so whenever I say they,
Yeah.
that's who I'm talking.
That's
That's who
who
I'm
talking-
referring to.
Yes. 100%.
You know, but here's the thing. Like, I get it that they are taking it away, but it's our responsibility to make sure that it lives, that
Yeah.
God
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
And thank goodness, because, you know, I feel like God gave us these platforms because if we had to rely on the mainstream media for our information, we're
finished.
fucked.
Yeah.
Finished.
We obviously y'all can, and we don't need to talk politics, but everybody can tell how fucked we were.
Not in the good way.
I'm just gonna say COVID,
Yeah.
and then
period.
2020. That's it. That's all. That just shows you how screwed up our mainstream media is. Now all of a sudden we have these outlets, right? Hopefully that we don't get banned from these outlets by them.
Them.
It's they and
They
them.
and them. Yeah, man.
Yes.
I was on social media before all this for my real estate business. And I posted 2 like smart ass comments about Joe Biden. So I don't know if you remember when they were handing out stimulus money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of the ones I put, the last one I put out was like, "Hey Joe, like where's my check?"
Yeah.
You know. And then I think at the time I had something like maybe 20,000 followers or something, and then I was immediately
Banned.
and gone.
Oh my gosh.
Gone.
Yeah.
I mean, gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I was under real Harold Noriega, and I'm gone. And I was like, wow,
Because you had the reel on there, man.
this
They were
shit,
like,
this
that.
shit was this was real.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
actually
sure.
nuts.
Yeah.
I had a political page for a while, and I was getting in trouble all the time. Like I get like 90 days. I couldn't like 90-day bans.
Yeah, no talking.
Yeah, no talking. That's why because the Hopeaholics platform is so important.
Yeah, we
like
have a mission.
and we have a mission, and our mission is to bring people back together because of pain.
Yeah.
Like everybody, you've got to be a real asshole to sit and watch this podcast and watch you cry, watch me cry, and have anything negative to say other than coming together and like loving each other and helping each other through this. We have a thing in the 12-step program, and see, I feel like, man, when they took Justin is my son-in-law, and I feel like they really fucked with the wrong guy when they took Justin from me, because we have a tradition in the 12-step program, man. And it doesn't matter what your race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, or political views. You're not allowed to bring those things into the meeting. And we all can come together for one common goal, and that's to help each other. You know, get the in my program, it's one promise: freedom from active addiction. You know.
And then to give it away.
Yeah, and then to give it away.
And to share how you did that. And it's the tools that we all need, and to be the best versions of ourselves, because I truly believe it's in every single individual to become what they're destined to be and to get out of their own way. And the only way that is by being able to understand and do that self inner work, so that you don't have to pick up or use or think that there's no hope for you, because I am for sure. I mean, it's crazy to think that I've stacked together 10.5 years of sobriety. Like, but that's, thank you. It's literally because of God, and then me having the willingness to go ahead and do the things that
do the work.
Exactly.
You know, anything of value is going to take a price. It's going to it's going to cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at, you know, I look at these examples. Look at Tiger Woods. Look at
100%.
Michael Jordan. Look at all the who worked. Both those guys worked harder and longer than anyone else to get a certain level of greatness that already came with a certain level of talent. Beyond anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
But the choice for us is that, and I remember my parents saying this when I was younger. You know, if you hang out with these guys over here, you know, you're going to get in trouble. They're taking the easy way out. Well, the easy way out is self-medicating. Easy way out is escaping.
Yep.
Easy way out is blaming.
Yes.
Denial.
Yes.
But anything of real value requires discipline and some work. It doesn't mean you're going to you're climbing Everest with bare feet.
The easy way
but it's
out,
You
though,
You got to put some work into it.
I also want to remind everybody that the easy way out is packed full of misery, pain, and disappointment.
It's death.
It is.
And everyone pays
death.
the Pied Piper. It doesn't matter. You take the easy way out, you're still paying the Pied Piper one way or another. It doesn't matter. You're still paying for it.
My personal view of life, I do it in simplest terms. I have what's called the 50-yard line. Here's the 50-yard line right here. Above it is life. Below it is death. There's no gray area. So if you choose something positive and healthy, for the greater majority of your experience, you're going to be above the 50-yard line. Every now and then, someone's going to go through the red light. You're going to have a tragedy. You're going to get cancer.
Sure.
Okay, life's just going. We're all equal opportunity, people with that. But if you choose things that are negative and unhealthy, they all lead to death.
Yeah.
They're going to lead to unhappy experiences and misery and all that. But ultimately, it leads to
Nowadays.
death. You find guys, like, you guys probably know Taylor Hawkins, the Foo Fighters drummer. Passed away recently.
Yeah.
He'd been clean for quite some time, but still kind of dabbled with some minor stuff. But there was probably 20 years previously of trashing yourself that you just having a large heart. All that below the 50-yard line adds up to like death.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut. You have to do the work.
For sure.
But the feeling of accomplishment and having some success, or even sharing it with somebody to help somebody else, is so rewarding, and it's all good.
That's the purpose.
That is.
Well, I mean, and even to be able to show that that you are able to still manage life and get through life after the tragedy that you've been through, that shows that another man, another woman, another person,
Another marriage.
that this
Good
is
one.
possible, because this isn't it's never going to be the last time, because whether we get rid of fentanyl or not, there's still going to be other tragedies.
Of course.
Yes.
And man, you're a solid guy, super blessed to have you on our podcast, and super grateful to have gotten to know you and your heart, man.
Thank you.
In your heart, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much.
And I just
Anything
want,
we can do to spread the message so other people, parents, friends, future father-in-laws don't experience this.
yeah. And then we're gonna in our posts we're gonna tag that that there's a scholarship available. We'll keep that always available. I will always keep in touch with you on that. Please send us anybody that that's
you
hurting,
think
that's
that,
struggling,
that
that comes
needs it.
in your life, and we'll fill that scholarship bed, man.
Wow, that's just, I don't have words for that. That's insanely incredible, but thank you. That's very kind and generous.
Cooper Noriega Scholarship.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fun.
Cooper, yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. I
And
like it.
for anybody that
That's
is
hot.
listening and they want to continue to follow you and your journey, tell them where they can find you.
You can follow us on Coop's Advice on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow us on the Coop's Advice Foundation YouTube channel, where we have our podcasts and Instagram lives and things of that sort. You can follow me as Coop's Dad on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow Treva as Treva E. Wells, Treva E. Wells on TikTok and Instagram. Parker, Blaine, same formats. And especially the kids in Coop's world, follow Jaden Hostler and Nessa Barrett and Emma Brooks and all the Anna. Everybody knows that, and Sab. They're all putting out messages about mental health and addiction.
And they're all youngsters in their 20s.
21.
Yeah.
See, and we've never, because we're a little older, we'd love to get to know these, you know what I mean? Because this is the
And they have a
crowd
voice.
we need.
They've got, collectively, these kids, if you put together
Yeah.
their followers, it's somewhere between 60 and 100 million followers.
Whoa.
incredible.
Holy, good for them. Damn.
But they have a voice.
They have a voice.
Wow.
That is super powerful, not only for the younger generation,
Yeah.
but they're walking through something that is extremely tragic.
Yeah.
That needs to be out there for the younger kids to
For
hear
my
about.
kids.
What's happened with this since Cooper's passing, all these guys were, drinking too much
Yep.
at times, doing some drugs, vaping, smoking. Pretty much everybody now, they might have a glass of wine, but they really don't drink. They don't smoke and vape. One or two smoke.
Sure.
No more drugs. They're all working out,
Good for them.
Yeah.
Nice.
yoga,
Good for them.
Nice.
hiking,
Good for them.
journaling.
Yeah, man.
They're doing positive, and
for them.
now their followers
Are doing the
yeah.
are
same.
seeing them my idol
Yes.
does that. I think
That's a
I'm going
big
to try
deal.
journaling.
Yeah, that's why
I
they're.
think I'm going to pick up a guitar.
Yes,
big deal.
they're
That's
like
why
that's why
they're
they are
so
so
important.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, And
Yeah,
so it's
because
like,
got to get that message out there,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we have to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's how we became successful
Yeah.
in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
we can do to help
Appreciate
you.
it.
If
we'll
you,
definitely stay in touch.
Stay in
and that way
touch.
we can
Yep.
continue.
you need me to speak to anybody
Yeah.
that might be struggling, and find any dads,
Yeah,
just, whatever.
for sure.
Well, I'm always available.
awesome.
Nice.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Quick picture.
Yeah.
Picture.